Okay, so today I had a lot of conversations with a lot of people. So I'm going to kind of go through the conversations and how to help people with a lot of the stuff that's going on. Um, so first of all, I'm going to do the reminder that I always do. I don't Please forgive me. Thank you. And I love you. And the reason you do that is because we judge ourselves. We judge ourselves every day on everything. So we have to, be gentle with our soul and forgive ourselves for being so judgmental. When we stop judging ourselves, then we tend to stop judging others and vice versa. So it's a process and it's not always easy, but it's one that once you start doing it, your life changes. It brings you into a place that's almost magical. It brings you to a place of forgiveness, which is magical. There's a lot of, I was talking to somebody the other day and they had been through a divorce and they were angry with the person that they had divorced. And I said, forgive them. Just forgive them. Because the only thing that anger is doing is hurting you inside. It doesn't do anything to the other person. Even if you wanted to do something to the other person, it's not doing anything but hurting you inside. So as we go through this, we have to find forgiveness in ourselves. And we start with ourselves. We start forgiving ourselves for judging, for being so hard on ourselves all the time, thinking we have to be a certain way. Our souls are perfect the way they are inside. We just forget. So we don't have to be like everyone else. We can be like our soul, just that. And we don't have to take and look at someone else and say, oh, we need to be like that person. No, we don't have to be like that person. We have to be like us. That soul that's beautiful inside, that loving and kind soul. And it's an amazing thing that happens when you do this. It creates so many things in your life that you don't anticipate. Things start happening and people start coming into your life, and the ones that don't necessarily agree with that or can't understand that, they kind of fade out yourself with their soul. And it's a beautiful thing that happens. But first and foremost, we got to start with ourselves. We have to start with ourselves. We can't fix anyone else in this world. It's impossible to fix someone else. The only person we can fix is ourselves. And we have a hard time doing that. And we know ourselves better than we know anyone, but we don't think we do. So, because we've gotten lost in all this world, everything that is said to us and taught to us, we get lost in that instead of knowing our heart and paying attention to our heart. So, there's some truths that I always talk about every week, which is there is the truth that there is suffering. There is the truth that suffering stops, the cessation of suffering. There is a way to stop the suffering, and there is the stop of suffering. So, in order to do that, you have to actually pay attention, right? You have to be mindful. You have to know where your thoughts are taking you every day, every minute of every day. Because our thoughts are our creation. That's how we create things. We think something and then we act on that something that we think of, and then that creates something. And I talk about karma, but all karma really is the reaction to an action. That's all it is. It doesn't mean anything more than that. It means if you do something, that you're going to get a reaction to it, no matter what it is. You put the car in park, it's going to stop, right? There's always a reaction to an action. So that's what karma is. It's just the flow of things, what's happening because of what you've decided or not decided to do. So in our mind, the first stage in that is our thought. We think about something. So if we have control of what we're thinking, if we realize, if we recognize, because we have over 60,000 thoughts a day. That's a lot of thoughts. That's a lot of chatter going on in our mind all the time. And if we don't know what we're thinking, and a lot of times I'll do a check-in with everybody. What are you thinking? What are you thinking? What are you thinking? And sometimes I don't know what I'm thinking. I'm like, well, you're the only one there. So you better know what you're thinking because you're creating something with your thoughts. And that's how the suffering or non-suffering happens. If we're thinking of something and we're not even recognizing what our thought is, and then 10 minutes later, we're crying or we're upset about something, well, we had that thought 10 minutes ago and it created this sadness. So you have to like pay attention to what it is that's going on up here, because this right here is your ego. It is. This is your ego. This is the chatter that creates things. It tells you things and it's not always true. The truth comes from your heart. And your heart is your soul. It teaches you, it tells you, it directs you in the right direction. You always know, because let's take an example. Let's say you walk into a room and you feel this, I don't want to be in this room, right? We've all felt that, right? Oh, I don't want to be here. I need to leave. So a lot of times we don't listen to that. A lot of times we'll stay in the room and something will happen. it almost 100% does. So this little voice inside you, it's usually, you can feel it. You can feel it in this area right here. When you walk in, you're like, oh, I don't want to be here, right? That is your heart. That's your soul. It's speaking to you. It's telling you. And we don't listen. If we pay attention, it's 100% right all the time. This is what gets us going into the wrong directions, because this is our ego. And when you think with your ego, it doesn't do anything for you. Yes. Yes, exactly. She said it's the I know better. People can't hear if we're not directly in front of this. Yeah, we need a little mic so everybody can comment. But anyway, this is how it works. And if we don't pay attention to what's going on all the time, then it tends to lead us down paths that we don't really want to be in, and we don't even know how we got there because we forgot to pay attention to our thoughts. And it's really, it takes a lot of practice. So we have to have the right effort, right? The right effort. So that means we have to, like, every time that our mind starts to wander down memory lane, we have to bring it back into the present moment. We have to bring it back into, because it's the attachment to yesterday that creates the suffering today. It's the attachment to what we may or may not be doing tomorrow that brings the suffering in today. So it's not the present moment. And really, if you think about it, and I'm going to say this, and a lot of people are going to say, what? None of it is real. That's not real. And it's not real because it has already happened and you can't go back. You can't go back to yesterday. You can't go back to 10 years ago and recreate that. I may go back to Thailand, but it's not going to be the same as when I went the first time. So it's just something that happened before. And if I think about it all the time, it's only going to create suffering in the now. Like, I love Thailand. I like to be in Thailand. It's warm there. It's cold here, and I could create all that inside myself. And I could sit and the train, I could sit and go, oh, I'm so sad I'm here. But I don't want to be sad. I want to be happy. I want, I feel good in this balance that I'm in. And the only way to be in balance is to recognize your thoughts and where they're taking you. Tomorrow, we don't even know if tomorrow's coming. We don't know if we'll be here tomorrow. Sometimes we are. Sometimes people don't make it till tomorrow. We don't know. It's an uncertainty. Yes, exactly. Yes. Yes. Anna's saying that she wanted to work from home. She'd been wishing to work from home, had that in her mind. Now she got to work from home today and she didn't like it at all. It wasn't what she thought it was going to be. So it's always, see, if we pay attention to our thoughts, it's always a wish or a want or a, if I could just go back and do this, or if I could go forward and do that. But that is creating suffering inside of you because you can't. It's an impossible feat. You can't go back to yesterday. I can't even go back 2 seconds ago. It's gone. It's already gone. You can't go back and redo, but you can live in this present moment and you can do whatever it is you want to do in this present moment. If you want to do it, you have a choice. You can say, okay, right now in this moment, I know what's happening in this moment. I am sitting here, there's 3 people here tonight. So I'm talking to 3 people. I don't know how many out there in Never Never Land, but right now there's 4. And, I may be talking to more later because they might tune in or they might rewatch it or whatever. So, I know that this right here is happening in my world right now, this second. This is what's happening. So if I keep that, there's no suffering in this. Like right now, I'm not suffering. I'm in a good place, right? I have people, we're all sharing. It's a good feeling. So there's no suffering at all in this moment in time. But if I were to take myself back, it could create suffering because I can't change, and it's not real. Like it is not real. It was real at one moment in time, but no longer is it real. So now, if you go back there, you're suffering over something that is not real. And that's a hard concept to grasp because all our life we've been taught actually to suffer, you know. Think about what you did, right? How many times we've heard that, right? Think about what you did. Oh, I don't want to think about what I did, right? I don't want to because if you're telling me to think about it, it probably wasn't a good thing. So I really don't want to think about it. But we're taught to do that. We're taught, okay, you need to plan for your future. Think about tomorrow, right? We're taught to do that. Our entire life, we're taught not to be in this present moment. So it takes a little effort and practice to start being in the now, being in this moment in time, staying in this present moment and not letting our mind go to things that are not real. This is the only time that's real, this moment in time. And the more you practice at it, the better you feel because you're not worried about all that other stuff. Now, I'm not saying you can't plan for your future, but I'm saying don't be attached to it because you can't make it. You don't know what it's going to be. There's too many variables. So Anna says she feels like she kind of, what did you say, ruin the, you limit what the future can be when you try to make it something instead of just letting it happen because beautiful things happen when you just let things happen. I was I was saying that I went to India last year and it wasn't planned. It was just they called me and said, "Get your visa. We're going to India." So I went. I didn't know where in India I was going. I didn't know what I was going to be doing in India. And it was quite the experience. It was life-changing experience. I didn't know when we were stopping to go to the bathroom. I didn't know when we were stopping to eat. I was just there in that present moment, every moment that I was there. And it was an amazing experience. It taught me a lot. It taught me how to stay in this present moment. Sometimes my ego was like trying to get in because I was in a bus where 99% of the people spoke only Thai. So, and I don't speak Thai. Well, I Nitnoy a little bit, but not a whole lot. And so I was on a bus where, everybody was speaking Thai. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know, like, we would stop. I had no clue whether we were stopping to go to the bathroom, stopping to eat, stopping to, get out and stay for the night. Had no clue. So I had to let go of everything that I thought I had control over and just let it happen. I was talking to my brother the other night about this, and he said, well, I don't want to not have control over anything. But the truth is, that's the way life is. We don't really have control. We think we have control. The only thing we have control over is our thoughts. And we let them go like we don't have any control over it. And it's funny because that's the way it works. We try to control the things that we have no control over. And we don't even try to control the one thing that we do. And it's the one thing that can make a huge difference in your life. I mean, it's an amazing thing that when you just be here now in this present moment. Wayne Dyer used to say that, be here now. In this present moment in time, there is no suffering. And so the more you practice that, the more you concentrate on, okay, what am I thinking? Just do a check-in with yourself. What am I thinking right now? What am I doing right now? Am I here or am I there? Where am I? What am I doing? And then if you don't know, you have to pay attention because you've just created something and you have no idea what you're creating. Right. You have to go, okay, so I wasn't present. I wasn't even present in my own mind, right? I wasn't present. So I need to learn how to be present. What am I thinking now? See, it's that simple. What am I thinking right this second? What am I thinking? And the more you ask yourself, the more you pay attention to your thoughts. And then you can direct them in the right direction. Having the right thought, having the right speech, right? The right livelihood. These things are important inside yourself. If you have the right thought and the right speech begins inside of here. This is what it does. It begins inside of here. You're talking to yourself. When your mind is going, you're talking to yourself. That's it. There's nobody else there with you. You are talking to yourself. So you better be listening to what you're saying, because is it the right speech or is it not the right? Because this is how we stop our suffering. I know it sounds a little, crazy, but it's true. You have to be mindful. You have to concentrate on being mindful. Like you can't, it takes effort. It takes effort. It is the great effort. It is. When I was in Thailand, I studied with these master monks up in the mountain. 75 days we did of meditation. It was 12 hours of meditation a day. So we'd sit, and the floor wasn't carpeted. It was hard, like hard. And so, and then we'd stand for a while, and then we'd walk for a while, and then we'd sit for a while. But yeah, and at the time, you're just like, oh my God, I don't know, my whole entire body is aching and I'm in pain. And the abbot came to me one day and he said, when you get rid of that pain, you'll have enlightenment. So it's how you think of things. It's what you're putting in your own mind. What are you concentrating on? What he was telling me is you're concentrating on the pain, so you're going to keep the pain. Once you stop concentrating on that pain, it's going to go. And that's where enlightenment is, you know? Yeah. You're not the only one. Everybody in my house is having back issues. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. You're having back issues too? Ah, look at that. So most of the time when our body is hurting, okay, it's because we have some kind of emotional something going on inside of us. And we are tensing up, our body is tensing up, our mind is tensing up, and so it creates pain inside of us. Everything that is painful in your body's not meant to be painful, but when it is, it's telling you something. So if we pay attention, then we can, okay, this is why it is. This is why it is. Yours may be from riding horses.
I have a surgery on stitches on his back.
Oh, you had stitches. Oh, well, you have a good reason for your back to hurt. All right, good. So if we pay attention to our minds, this is important, right? And we give it the right effort. So I've had a lot of people say to me, you know, it doesn't work. I tried it and it doesn't work. I'm like, really? Because I can tell you that it works 100% of the time. And it's funny because people will go, you can't say that. Oh, I can say that because it's just like a mathematic equation, right? 2 and 2, 2 plus 2 equals 4, right? It just does. That's the way it is, right? If you do this, if you pay attention to your thoughts, if you stay in the present moment, if you have the right livelihood, and that means if you're not doing things to harm other people or yourself, right? If you have the concentration and you have the effort, if you're putting all this into it, it's impossible for it not to work. It just does, it's impossible. But if you're only doing it to say you did it, okay? If you're only doing it to say you did it, it's not going to work because you're not doing it inside yourself. It's not for anybody else. It's for you to do inside of you. And when you clear your mind, see, it's important to clear your mind. When you clear your mind and you have this clear comprehension of what you're thinking and what you're doing, there's no suffering in that. It's when you don't clear your mind that the suffering comes. And it works 100% of the time. But you have to do it. You have to take the action, right? The effort, the action, the livelihood, the mindfulness, the concentration, all of these things. There's 8 of them. See here? Right view, right speech, right action. I've showed them. I've wrote it on the board. Everybody who's ever watched this knows it. These are truths. You have to have the right view. What's the right view? Well, not talking bad to yourself, not thinking that you aren't worthy of whatever it is. You know, these are things that we put inside of us, and they're instilled in us from the time we're born. From the time we're born, we're taught, we're said to, no, that's not right. You don't know that. How do you know that? Right? We've been told these things over and over again. And those aren't truths. Little children know a lot. I mean, they have intuition. They have these something inside of them they haven't forgotten. You know, they know. And so as their life grows, if we let them be them, if we let them be them, then they keep all this stuff inside of them and they do it themselves. Little kids are going to speak the truth, right? They'll speak the truth. Even when you don't want them to, right? Even when you're like, please don't say that. Please don't say that. And they say it. But it's okay because this is good. They should speak the truth. They should not speak the truth. We're taught our entire life not to speak the truth. Then we have to go back and learn how to speak the truth inside of ourselves. And that really is a shame. We should be speaking the truth to ourselves at all times, even when there's things that we don't really care for. We need to speak the truth. We need to forgive ourselves for anything that we think we've done that isn't in this right view, right speech, right thought. Forgive yourself for that. It can change in an instant, 1 second, and it can be different. It doesn't have to stay that way. It can be different right now. All you have to do is do it. You can change that thought. You can change that action. You can change right away. It doesn't have to wait, anytime. What are you waiting for? What's the holdup? What are we waiting for? There's no reason to wait because we can do it every minute of every day, all day long. We can pay attention. We can be in this space of loving kindness. And really, that's all it is. The Master Boomni used to say to me, and I'm going to speak it in Pali, then I'll say it in English. Sachatam, metatam, kantitam, mudiyatam, obakatam. Right? Truth. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Truth. Loving kindness. Sachatam, metatam, kantitam. What's kanti? Patience. Widiyatam. Mm-hmm. Ubeka. Balance. Yep, balance. So if you have these 5 things, number 1, speak truth. Speak truth at all times inside yourself, even if you think it's going to turn out bad. Speak your truth. Number 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Loving kindness. This is like the key, the magical key, right? It really is. Loving kindness to yourself first and then to everyone else. If you give it to yourself, it's easy. You just start doing it to everybody else. Loving kindness, right? Kanti. What's Kanti? Patience. That's a tough one, right?
Yeah.
Because we are in a hurry. We're in a hurry. We want it right now. But the truth is, we can have it right now. See, all we have to do is be patient, loving, kind to ourselves, right? Give it an effort. And then balance it all out. Balance. The balance is that, we're in this world, right? We're in this world. So we have to recognize we're in this world and we have to balance it. We have to be, okay, so that person said that. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to take that in. If you're balanced, you know that that's them speaking, not you. It has nothing to do with you. And this is truth. Even if they're directing it towards you and saying it to you, it has nothing to do with you. Sounds crazy, but it doesn't have anything to do with you. They got it going on inside of them, and they're spewing it on you. But it has nothing to do with you. And if you have that in your mind, if you can keep that thought, oh, that's not about me. That's really about them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can keep that in your mind, it's like magical. Anything anybody says, you're like, that's about them, not me. Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all right with that. I'm all right with that. In Thailand, the middle finger doesn't mean anything. They don't know what that means. It doesn't mean anything, right? So if you can just kind of go, oh, well, it doesn't mean anything because that's them and it's not me. It can only hurt you if you take it in, attach to it, and make it your own. But it's not you. Whatever they speak, all you have to do inside yourself is say, that's about them, not me. And as quick as that, you can let go of any anger you may have had towards them for whatever they're speaking, because it's theirs. Exactly. So Anna just said that the opposite is true too. If you say something about someone, it's usually you projecting how you feel about yourself onto that person. So, and it's truth. So if we speak the truth inside of us, so just say to yourself, oh, I'm feeling like that about myself. Why am I feeling like that about myself? Oh, I'm not, I don't want to feel like that about myself. So I'm going to forgive myself for judging myself because it's a judgment, right? How whatever you're projecting out there, that's a judgment. So it's really you judging yourself. So if you can say that to yourself and go, "Oh, no, I don't want to judge myself like that. I'm sorry for judging myself." And forgive yourself. We all have done it. It's not like we all haven't done it. Everybody's done it. Everybody has made a judgment on themselves and someone else in their lifetime. This is true. Everybody in the world. There's not one soul who hasn't made a judgment about something or someone. Always. So if you know that, you can just let it go and say, "Oh, I'm sorry for that judgment on myself. I'm going to let it go and just forgive myself and move on. Be happy inside myself." It's really, you know, it's so much easier than it sounds. I do it daily. I do it daily. And I try to express and give little keys on how I've done it because my life was crazy. It was a hot mess at one time, and I have worked and I've done these things and I have been around people who are very enlightened, I would say, very, very enlightened. And I have watched and learned and taken notes and gone, okay, well, let me try that. And I'm going to try that shortcut because I don't want to have to go a long way around. And they've already done it. So let me try it. And if it works, whew, good. I don't have to go the long way around. If it doesn't, oh well, I've tried other things, so why not try this? Right? So that's all we have to do is try it. And if it works for you, beautiful. But you have to give it the effort. You can't just say you try it just so you can say you tried it, right? Doesn't work like that. You have to actually bring it in. You have to love, you like give yourself love. You've got to do it. And it sounds crazy. Like the first time I said that, my sister said to me, "You got to stop saying that. People are going to think you're nuts." And I was like, "I don't care." Let them think I'm nuts because I can honestly say that I learned to love myself. There was a time when I did not. There was a time when I tried to kill myself. This is truth. I'm speaking truth. And I've said it before. It's not the first time I've said it, but I say it because hopefully, maybe there's somebody out there that feels that way that can understand that you don't have to, that you can learn to love yourself. And it's just a lot of things that have been piled on top of you that you've been taught in ways to think different things about yourself that aren't truths. See, we're all in the same boat. These are our cars, this body that we're in. It's the car we drive on this earth. But in reality, inside ourselves, we're all the same. We're this little soul. It has nothing to do with our body. It has nothing to do with the kind of job we have. It has nothing to do with the kind of car we drive or the house we have or it none of that makes any difference whatsoever. Even though in this world it seems like it does. But that is just smoke and mirrors. It really is. It's just smoke and mirrors. If you can see beyond, you can see that really the thing that matters is the loving kindness. And that is what will change the world. They've tried other things, right? Everybody has tried so many other things, but they haven't tried to be loving and kind to themselves and to each other. Like you got to start here, right? Because you can't give what you don't have. And if you don't have it inside of you, you can't give it out. You think you're doing it. You think you're being kind and loving to people. But if you're not that inside yourself, it's just a show, and there's a behind it. Whereas if you really, really, really love yourself, you learn to love yourself. And it's not easy to learn this. It's a process. Like you and it sometimes it's painful to learn to love yourself because you have to speak the truth. You have to look at yourself and you have to forgive yourself for all the things that you did. Like there were things that I did in my lifetime that like I was like, no, I don't want to say that, right? I don't want to admit that I was that kind of person that would do something like that, you know but I had to admit it inside myself so I could forgive myself. Doesn't matter about whether you say it to someone else unless you hurt them, and then it's a good idea to forgive yourself and then to say you're sorry to them. When I have a daughter, she's 37 years old, she'll be 38 years old, and I wasn't a great mom as she was growing up. I didn't know how to be a mom. That's the truth. You know, I had to speak to her and say to her, I'm sorry. I sucked as a mother. I did. And I'm sorry for that. I can't go back and change that. You can't. You can't go back and redo it. The only thing you can do is from here, this point on. So you can change the person that you are today. You can change from being that to being this in a second. In a second. And when you do and you forgive yourself, it lifts a weight. See, I said it to myself and then I said it to my daughter because she needed to hear it. She needed to hear that I was sorry for whatever it was that I had done. And on one of these, I said it to the whole world, right? I said to the whole world, if there's anyone out there that I have harmed in any way, knowing or unknowingly, I'm sorry for that. Because when you do that, you relieve yourself. A weight is lifted. And then you can start forgiving yourself. You can let things go and you can start living and being the person that you truly are inside. Because I believe that nobody's really bad. I believe that inside you've just been gone through so many things and you've told yourself so many things, so many times what a rotten person you are that you began to believe it. And it's not a truth. It's just something that you've told yourself throughout your life. Now you can start to tell yourself the new story, the truth inside yourself, the truth about who you really are, loving and kind. We're all loving and kind. We're born that way. Little children are not, when they come out of the womb, they're not angry. They might cry because they felt comfy, cozy in there and they want to come out. But they're not angry at anybody. They don't want to hurt somebody. They're loving and kind. They even little children who get beat by their parents love their parents because they have the soul that's loving and kind. They haven't been taught not to. Eventually they are taught that, but they're not. And so if we can remember that and just start cultivating that inside of ourselves, it brings so much more to this world. And pretty soon things change around you, not only inside of you, but outside of you. It's just miraculous what happens. And it sounds funny, like it can't be true, but it is true. Like your entire life starts to change. And the people that were hateful to you, they either change too or they start fading away. They don't want to be in the presence of someone who's kind all the time. They're just like, no, I can't do that. So I got to go away. And the ones who are, they embrace it and they want to be that. And you'll meet more people who are loving and kind. They'll start entering your life and the old ones will start going away because that's what you're generating. It's amazing how it works because you think, okay, I'm not going to have any friends. I've heard this a lot. People have said this to me. Oh, well, if I do that, I'm not going to have any friends. You're not going to have any of those friends, that have been, are in the same mindset that you were in at one time. But you'll have new friends who are in this new mindset of, oh, let me be loving and kind. Let me be gentle to people. Let me help people. Let me, you know, you'll meet those people and they'll start coming into your life like by the droves, and you'll be like, whoa, oh, this is what it's really like, because that's what happens. And the reason you have never had it happen before is because you were in that mindset. And the people who are not in that mindset aren't going to gravitate towards that. They're going to steer clear, right? They already know, they've done the work. So they don't want to have to, sit where someone is suffering. They've already done the work. So they'll wait till you figure it out and stop suffering. And then they'll enter your life and they'll be like, yeah, we've been waiting on you for a while. That's what happens. And it's a beautiful thing. And then you're like, oh, this is good. This is good. But it takes work. It doesn't happen by happenstance. It doesn't happen unless you start to talk to yourself, start to pay attention to your thoughts. You start loving yourself inside. Even though you may not right this second, it takes a while to remember to even like yourself, right? It takes work. It takes time, I mean, I wrote on my mirror. I have another student that wrote on her mirror that said, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And every time I would look at the mirror, I would speak that into myself. Why? Because I had spoken the opposite for my entire life. So I needed a reminder to be kind to myself. And the more you do it, the less you have to have it written on your mirror. And before you know it, it's just second nature. And you can erase the mirror because you automatically, when you look in it, you just say it to yourself. And it's beautiful when that happens. You're like, ah. And you kind of like smile inside your heart because you realize, oh, I do like myself, but all this time I've been not so much, but now I do. And it's a beautiful thing. And it's, like I said, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's not easy to do that. But the more you do it, the better you feel. And the less you have to really think about doing it because it becomes a habit. We've had our habits really kind of twisted, the habits of talking to ourselves not very nicely. That's a habit that most of us have gotten into, and it's continue. And if we pay attention to this, and it's ego. And it sounds funny because most people think that ego is like, oh, I got this going on. That's ego. But yes, ego comes in many ways. And when you master it in one way, it tends to come around in another. So that because you have to completely get rid of the ego in order to really love yourself. Sounds funny, but it's true. Because the ego will take you down paths, like it'll say things inside your mind like, well, how come they got that and I didn't? That's an ego thing. Right. Yeah. Anna's talking about working from home and she's like, it's beautiful because I always say that everything in this life is a lesson. This is our university. This world is our university. And it teaches us like no other university can if we pay attention. But most of the time we watch it go by and we're not paying attention. But Anna's paying attention now. She said she learned lessons that she doesn't want to work from home and be careful what you wish for. I speak that all the time. I say, yes. I'm like, be careful what you wish for. And yes. She said she wrote it down because it's a sneaky little thing. See, when we're wishing for something, we're not in this present moment. Yeah. And so it can bring the suffering. It happens. So if we stay in this present moment, and like I said, I'm not saying you can't try to plan for the future. I mean, and to be here today, right? I had to make a plan. But if something were to happen where I couldn't, it wouldn't be devastating. I would just, email out or text out, hey, I'm not going to be there today. But you have to pay, like, instead of like being so attached to the future that you let it wish you away. Just be in this present moment. Know what you got to do tomorrow, okay? But that's tomorrow, and know it's tomorrow. And don't let it wish you into not being in this present moment, not appreciating that you have this moment. I mean, this moment in time is beautiful. Every moment in time is beautiful. But we tend to think it's not good enough. We need something more. But what do we need more? Right? We're sitting in a place that has shelter, right? We have heat, so we're warm. Water, somebody wants water, we got water. I think we've all eaten tonight, so we have food. We're breathing air, so we're not dead. So pretty much we have everything we need, right? But when we want, it's for things that we don't really necessarily need. It's just a want. So, and I'm not saying it's bad to have things. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it can cause you suffering if you just want, and don't appreciate this moment in time that you have and what you have, and knowing that it is just a want and it's not a necessity. Because I've been where people didn't have necessities, they didn't have the things that like food. When I was in India, there were children that didn't have food, and so you tend to learn to appreciate and know what is really a necessity and what is not when you actually get to see it. And it was a good experience, but hopefully not everybody has to experience that. Hopefully they can take the shortcut and know that, being in this present moment, I'm not going to suffer. I can be in this present moment and be happy that I'm here in this moment and not attached to what may or may not happen tomorrow. So I'm going to end tonight. Hopefully, someone got something out of this tonight. And we're going to try to get a speaker, a microphone, so everyone can join in, and people who are not actually here can hear what we're saying as a group. And because I think it's important that, other people, that you can hear other people and know that you're not alone, and I'm not the only one speaking, and that other people have gone through things that you may be going through out there. And so we're going to try to do that for you. And we will be here tomorrow at 7 for a meditation class, and we will do a little meditation, and who knows what else we'll do. We never know what'll happen. We never know. So love yourself, be kind to yourself, love others, and I will see you tomorrow. Stay.